we are going to be talking Dina Manzo Dolores, Caroline Manzo, this whole home invasion and the letter that Dolores and Caroline wrote. I got a lot of comments and questions, and there was some confusion because Tommy, hasn't actually been convicted yet. The letters were for his bond, but his co-defendant was convicted. So there's a lot of details we have to break down. And I actually found out some new information about Tommy and how he got these background checks done through Peterson police officers, and a chief of police was actually finding information out about Dina and her husband David for him. He has ties to one of the there's 5 huge mob families in the New York City, New Jersey area, and he has ties to them. His co-defendant who was in charge of taking Dina and her husband down. I mean, he stalked them from 2015 to 2019. When the FBI raided the brownstone, they found over 300 pages of Google searches, LexisNexis, all kinds of different searches on Dina and her husband. So we have to break all of this down because there's so much confusion, and that's what I want to do tonight, guys. So follow along. Caroline and Dina are actually sisters. They were married to brothers Al and Tommy Manzo. Everything in this, of course, is alleged, but their father was actually murdered, and he went by the street name Tiny, but he weighed 400 pounds, and he made them angry, and they ended up killing him and dismembering him and putting him in the back of the trunk of his Cadillac. That was Al and Tommy's dad. They run the brownstone there in New Jersey. Now, one of the questions people were asking was, Caroline and Dolores are such good friends, but they kind of come from different ends of the spectrum, because Caroline is, allegedly has all these mob ties, and then Dolores, has a father who was a chief of police, and she allegedly worked in a prison and did, that sort of work. So see, Chocolate remembers. So it wouldn't it seems strange that they would be such good friends, that they would both be supporting the same person. But from what I have discovered, which you guys can check out this website for yourself, it's www.app.com. It's a New Jersey website. A lot of the information that Tommy was getting was actually, it was the Peterson police allegedly helping him get this information and background checks. Even a year after the home invasion, he hired a retired police chief to try to find out the schedule of Dina's stepson's Little League baseball game. So, and they had already attacked David back in 2015 behind a strip mall. It was allegedly took place the night that Caroline's daughter was married, because Dina brought David to the wedding, and allegedly that made Tommy angry, and so therefore they beat him up behind a strip mall. So they never really could link Tommy to that right away. What's wrong with my eyebrows, Chocolate? Are they too big? It's been a long day. I've been up since 4 a.m. Hi, Reality. Oh, I think she was complimenting them. Thank you, if you were. But yeah, guys, he had this guy beat up behind a strip mall, and then 2 years later was the home invasion, and Dina and him came home to film for Teresa's daughter's, it was either her confirmation or her baptism, and they went home. Weren't the Manzos friends with the New York police? Yes, that's what I was exactly saying. Thank you, Chocolate. Yes, they are friends. That's exactly what I was saying. Caroline throws this party every single year at her house. Kim D's talked about it in the podcast Behind the Velvet Rope, and it's this huge, huge benefit for the police department. All the money that they raise goes to the police department, and they raise a lot of money. And when I followed up on Dina and Tommy's My Big Fat Wedding, it was on VH1. Hi. Probably yeah, absolutely, because they said that the chief of police did the background check for Tommy Manzo, allegedly. But yeah, Caroline throws this huge party every year to raise money for the Peterson Police Department. And when Tommy and Dina got married, Tommy actually had a police escort him to the church, in like flashing lights, motorcycles, cop cars, like the whole deal. And Dina was like all lonesome by herself in the limo, practically crying. She had no idea that Tommy was even going to have all of the police escort him to the wedding. So that's kind of strange that they would be escorting him to his wedding when allegedly he's like mob related, and they're, you know, the police. Tommy Manzo got a Lucchese mobster. Yep, that's exactly right, reality. That's exactly right. That's the family, one of the top 5 mob families, and they are affiliated. The gentleman that actually went through with it and was physically there at the house, he was convicted, and he basically turned Tommy in pretty much, and he was an associate of that family as well, and he got a cheaper wedding reception for his daughter at the brownstone, and allegedly a lot of the members at the wedding were, you know, crime family members, and that's why the brownstone was actually raided. Yeah, it was featured in the Real Housewives of New Jersey all the time. I mean, they were always at the brownstone, always. And I love how Caroline rejected. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. But I mean, there's like no denying it. I mean, the dad, no, like the internet wasn't like huge like it is now when New Jersey first came out. So people only knew rumors. I mean, obviously all of the people in the demographic of that area in New Jersey knew everyone that was connected, and they knew they were connected. But for the rest of the, you know, the viewers that were everywhere else in the United States, they didn't have any idea necessarily that they were connected, because we didn't find out about Al Manzo's dad until a couple of seasons, and they don't even really tell us, like, him and Caroline go for a walk, and they go kind of to like this deserted area, and they say that, you know, Al's dad had been killed. Everyone should good Tiny Manzo, who's Caroline. Yep, that's exactly what his name was. Google him. He was actually in a book that a New Jersey detective, wrote, and included a chapter about Tiny. He actually weighed like 400 pounds, and they said when they had to get him out of the trunk, that it took hours to get him out of the trunk of his Cadillac. But he had allegedly been skimming a casino that was, you know, mob affiliated and connected, and he shouldn't have been skimming from it. Thank you so much, Holly. You're the second person that said that. I'm going to keep using the stuff I was using then. Thank you. I tried something different. But, yeah, Tiny actually weighed 400 pounds, and it was Al and Tommy's dad, and he was cut up and put in the trunk of his Cadillac, and he was included in this book that this detective wrote, this autobiography, and he alleged that he had been skimming off of this casino. Now, Danielle was in a live, like during a review for the Real Housewives of New Jersey, like a couple seasons back, when she was like feeling crazy, and she said that they cut off his private part, not to be too graphic, but she said that they cut it off and they put it in his mouth, and it was like a sign of disrespect, that he had done something to disrespect them. That's scary. So, I mean, if that doesn't scream mob affiliate, I don't know what would. I mean, honestly, if we would have all known that at the time, I think we would have been looking at Caroline and Al and their whole, you know, thing a little bit different, but we didn't really know that, and they didn't link Tommy to like the first beating of David behind the strip mall. They actually didn't link him until after the home invasion took place 2 years later, and we did in Staten Island, LOL. Yeah, and 2 years later was the home invasion, and they still didn't end up arresting him until 2019. Now, this is where the confusion was. The letters, these character letters that Dolores and Caroline wrote in favor of Tommy were actually so that he could post bond, because he had to post $100,000 bond. And do you think Caroline, the mob, played a part in Teresa and Joe serving? Absolutely. I think that they well, if you guys remember, Juicy Joe owed money to Jacqueline's husband's friend, if you guys remember this. And Jacqueline's husband trying to, he was kind of a soft-spoken guy, and he was trying to do the right thing, and he was trying to set up a meeting between Juicy Joe and the guy he allegedly owed this money to. And you guys know how Juicy Joe was before he went to, before he was kind of humbled. I don't know if his name was Christopher or not, but Juicy was basically like, F you, tell him to F off. Well, the guy came back and told Chris, tell Juicy, I know what he's been doing. I'm going to turn him in. He better meet with me. We got to work this out. So allegedly he ended up meeting with him, and he just blew him off. And, made arrangements but never took care of them. And allegedly he was who turned them in. But I'm sure that the Manzos, I'm sure that they made innuendos, if you will, because they were definitely on Caroline's radar. It's suspicious Tommy Manzo hasn't been put on trial. Thank you very much, Reality, for bringing that up, because somebody ate me alive in the comments about how it wasn't for an early release. It was actually for his, basically so he could post bond, because his attorney went to court and said, we have 30 different people vouching for what an upstanding citizen Tommy Manzo is, and therefore you need to let him be released on bond. Okay, and what's more suspicious is that he's part owner of the brownstone. The brownstone basically paid for the fee for the home invasion, for this guy to orchestrate and actually physically do the home invasion. Don't you think that they would be taking part of that, or it would be under, I don't know, that just is any other person that's arrested in their business is in conspiracy to commit a felony or a crime, especially in a federal case, they wouldn't just leave it open. Thank you so much, Camille. You and oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, you don't just get to keep running your business and making a profit if your business is affiliated with a crime. So that is a huge red flag. All of the reports that I saw about this retired police chief who helped do a background check and find out Dina's new husband's son's Little League games. I mean, they had already beat Dina's husband up behind the strip mall. Then they did the home invasion where they came home and they zip tied them and blindfolded them, beat them with a baseball bat and robbed them. And then they still, a year later, he was trying to find out when David's little 8-year-old boy had a Little League game so that they could try to orchestrate something else. Now, Dina's new husband, David, you guys will see him on Teresa Giudice's Instagram page, because it looks like Dina and David and Teresa. Thank you so much. That is seriously so sweet of you. Thank you, Camille, for the super chat. The food sucks now there. I know. But yeah, it's crazy, because I think we're going to end up seeing Dina on the Real Housewives of New Jersey, because she came back in season 6 when she needed the money as Teresa's support, because Teresa was getting ready to go to prison. And then now she has a YouTube channel, because she's really into spirituality, and she kind of calls herself the Good Witch. And yes, Diamond, good luck with your exams. We wish you good luck. Dina is the Good Witch, so she likes to do yoga. I was hungry and junk. She's all about inner peace, and so she's trying to create, help Teresa find her inner peace and be more zen and do yoga. And so she has started a YouTube channel, but it doesn't seem like it's growing a whole lot. She did have Teresa on the YouTube channel, so that kind of made me feel like she might be kind of stepping out, but we've also heard that she is agreed to be Teresa's maid of honor, but that she didn't want to be around anyone that was affiliated with Caroline because she didn't want any of the Manzos to know what was going on and where she was going to be at, because she had filmed for the Real Housewives in New Jersey when the day, you know, the night that they went home, that day they had filmed. That's how allegedly the perpetrators knew that they were going to be home, because they were filming. You know, it's a small area where they are from, guys. Like, that's why when they talk about Melissa trying to get on the show, and I love how supportive you guys are. That's so awesome. It's hard to study and take tests nowadays. There's so many distractions. I have a hard time. Oh, I thought that was a good conversation with Teresa. It was a good conversation. I agree with you 100%, because Dina kind of gave her, she kind of helped narrate her a little bit, because she was like, you know, did you like the way that, did you feel like you got a good edit basically from Bravo? And she kind of said no. Like, she felt like Bravo kind of, you know, villainized her, if you will. And so she didn't feel like she got a very good edit. And I kind of talk about this sometimes, guys, about Melissa and Joe's edit versus Teresa's edit, and the difference on how Bravo will, you know, leave a lot out when it comes to Joe and Melissa. And sometimes we don't hear a lot. And that's not always the case with Teresa, because she's always so open anyways. And so we know everything that's been going on in her life. And who was on 2 T's in a Pod? I cannot, the girl from New York, from the Real Housewives of New York that everyone loved. Her last name was Sweeney. I can't remember her name. She was on 2 T's in a Pod with Mellencamp and Tamra, who allegedly is going to be coming back for the Real Housewives of Orange County. Allegedly, they're waiting on her schedule so that they can film. And I think Teddy is going to be brokenhearted, because she's going to feel really left out if, you know, Tamra, Leah, they asked her, like, who's your favorite housewife of all times? And she was like, Teresa Giudice. And of course, Teddy, who doesn't get it, was like, oh my gosh, even after this season. And basically she was like, yeah, because Teresa was amazing overall as a whole. Like, when they flashed back to her daughters and going to prison, and she's like, she's one of the only housewives that, like, makes me cry when I look back on, like, her daughters and all the different things that she's showed us. Who would you rather hang out with, Melissa or Mellencamp? Oh gosh, I don't know. Probably, I don't know, maybe Mellencamp. No, it's Melissa, because I think if Melissa at least, like, eats and she enjoys good food and, like, pasta and stuff, and Mellencamp definitely does not. Have you guys ever seen the diet for her Jumpstart? Anyone? It's like a 600 calorie a day diet. You should, all of the recipes are like bone broth and veggie flakes, and it is a very strict diet. It's only like 6 weeks. So when she shows those pictures on her Instagram of, like, the before and afters, I always thought that it was like a 3 or 4 month program. No, it's like 6 weeks. Those are the before and afters of 6 weeks on, like, a 600 calorie a day diet. No one gets refunds ever. You never ever get a refund. Allegedly, like, the coaches aren't allowed to give refunds. People shared conversations of, like, going back and forth with their coaches. I just want Camille said, I just want someone to leak. Melissa said, me too. I want to see her audition tape too. Teddy pretty much makes people, yep. I want to see Melissa's audition tape too. That is so funny, because Kim D was just talking about that not long ago on Behind the Velvet Rope, about how producers told her that if you could have seen her audition tape, that you would just die. And I actually found people on Instagram are sharing this clip of Melissa calling her husband, like, basically like a bitch, and asking, like, if he's going to be getting his period soon. She's, like, in a confessional, and she's, like, joking, and it's from way earlier when she first came on. But yeah, she was like kind of calling, she called him a bitch in the confessional and joked about his period. I already look hungry now. Thank you. You're so funny. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. Melissa, every time she's like makes the headlines, she is talking about Teresa. She was just making headlines saying that even though, you know, the show waited for Teresa, that Joe wasn't working when Teresa went to prison, and therefore Melissa and Joe actually shot like a 3-part episode with Juicy Joe. And if they wouldn't have filmed that, then that, you know, the girls wouldn't have been able to eat and keep that house. And that's basically what Melissa was saying. And she said that Bravo has basically interviewed everybody in New Jersey, and no matter what, if she would have been Teresa's sister-in-law or not, she would have gotten cast for the show, which I do agree with that. She probably would have gotten casted for the show because, you know, people do love Joe Gorgon. He is funny and he makes people laugh, and he, you know, he seems like a wholesome guy. We don't know if that's really the case, but he comes off that way. So yes, likely Melissa would have gotten casted, but would she have stayed? Would she have had a strong enough storyline? Could she have been dramatic to actually make a name for herself and stay on season after season after season? Because it's kind of like she's always been in a supportive role of everything that's going on with Teresa Giudice. And unfortunately, Teresa and Juicy have basically had to have their imagine Melissa and Joe just having to release all of their financial records for like the last 4 years, every dollar, because that's basically what happened with Teresa and Joe. They like were audited. Allegedly, they didn't audit all of their assets correctly, and so that's when the government got really pissed and they ended up having to go to prison. But we knew where all of their money, every transaction we knew about. We knew what was going on all the time because they also didn't have the money, and they were selling stories. They had to sell stories to the tabloids because, you know, they didn't have the money to keep up with what was going on. Andy sees Teresa, Joe, and Melissa Gloria's package deal because they always have drama. Her evil sisters. Yes. You are right about that, because if you guys remember when Juicy Joe first came home from prison and they did like a special with Teresa and Andy Cohen, and Juicy was like virtual from Italy, and he basically told Andy Cohen, like, you should be thanking me because without us, we basically put New Jersey on the map. And he's kind of right, because even before the whole prison thing, you know, there was all of that family drama. Joe wants to be a housewife just for grounds. Well, now he's getting paid. So, you know, they were all really upset because Gia Giudice had allegedly gotten like 50 or 60,000 for her part. I'm sure that Teresa negotiated and wanted to make sure that her daughter, you know, made some money. And supposedly that's what like triggered this whole thing with the husbands getting paid. And I said in one of my videos, I told you guys it's gonna get messy because Dolores has a new boyfriend. She is not gonna wanna be around her ex-husband and his new girlfriend, because I said we're gonna see Frank's new girlfriend because her best friend is one of the new women who are allegedly could be full-time, part-time for the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And we already saw this little clip of them filming at, I think it was like the roller rink. And who did we see? We saw Frank and his girlfriend. So now we're going to have Dolores and her boyfriend, Polly. And we're going to have Frank and his girlfriend and her best friend trying to get a full-time role in the Housewives of New Jersey. And why did we see Tiki and his wife filming? I mean, she went to the reunion and they didn't even give her the respect to give her 5 minutes at the Real Housewives reunion. And I think I would not go back. Why would you go back? Why would you do that to yourself? Like, they embarrassed you this season. They had her in a chair off to the couch. We saw, because she posted a photo of herself, is Teresa the highest paid? we don't really know anymore, because when they did all those major pay cuts with like Nene, and they were cutting back payroll because of COVID, they kind of scrambled everything up. Allegedly, the Real Housewives of Atlanta are the highest paid housewives. Candy, you know, is supposed to be real high up there. I'm sure Teresa is very, very, very well paid. That's why Caroline allegedly said she won't come on the show, because she comes with a big price tag. She has bombs to drop. She would love to rip Teresa apart, but she knows that Teresa is getting a fat check from Bravo, and she's not going to come on for free, basically. So I don't know if we'll see Caroline. I think Caroline thinks that Dina's going to come on, and so therefore she wants a piece. Teresa and Joe had another family members. I'm sure their kids would have a place to live and food on the table without Joe and Melissa. What a terrible thing. Atlanta, then Beverly Hills are the highest paid. Yep. I didn't need Caroline back. A lot of people are saying that every time there's like, you know, well, Teresa actually, she's been out in the press and she's been open and said, listen, Caroline's just trying to get clout for her son's podcast, Dear Albie. And it, you know, I kind of believe that a little bit, because the last time we heard from Caroline was whenever she wrote the letter in favor of Tommy Manzo, and Albie got on his podcast and was speaking out in favor of his mama bear. Tiki and his wife are the most boring couple. Allegedly, producers wanted Tiki to be part of, like, the guy. You know, Bravo's trying to market off of the husbands. Like, they want to make some money off them. They feel like people really love Joe Gorga. You know, he has time to film because his business is, you know, what it is, and he has the time to film. You know, Bill Aiden, he's a plastic surgeon. You know, Bravo, can they compete with that? I don't know, because I'm sure he makes hella good money. I'm sure he wouldn't mind filming and making some extra money, but is filming going to be his first priority? No. But is it going to be Joe Gorga's first priority? Absolutely. I hope Caroline comes back ASAP. Any of the other stuff going on with Dina, I'm certain we have to all, yeah. You know, on one hand, we hear that Dina's trying to be like really on the down low. She doesn't want people to know where she's at, what she's going to be doing. And allegedly, Teresa had agreed to that, you know, as in the way that Dina would be in the wedding. So that's why it's kind of surprising that we hear, is Teresa going to film the wedding? Is she not going to film the wedding? Is she going to have a spinoff? Is she not going to have a spinoff? Is she going to have a special? Is she not going to have a special? And it's kind of like, well, if you have this matron of honor that doesn't want anyone to know where she's at or what she's doing, are you going to be filming her in your special? Would they be able to leave her out for the special if they filmed a whole wedding special around them? So that's what makes me think that Dina may be actually open to filming. She just doesn't want to film maybe with Dolores. I don't know. I don't know if she just doesn't want to be honored. Tiki doesn't even fit in with the guys. He has a 9-to-5 job. He barely can film. I know. I don't think, eating disorder, it's not super entertaining. It's sad, and it shows she's being vulnerable, but it's in her vulnerability, she's very broken still. There's a difference between being vulnerable and still have a lot of healing and work to do, and still being fragile. You can be vulnerable and not be fragile, but with Jackie, when we saw all of these rumors, she cried, and you could tell, like, she was crying from her heart and from her soul. My God, I mean, I would feel terrible if anyone, I mean, who could tell her that he was cheating? I mean, she was like bawling from her heart. And I think that really showed she's like fragile, and she still has a lot of healing to do. And, you know, she's a mother. Yeah, she's two-faced. I mean, it's looking that way. It's looking like she might be a little bit two-faced, but we knew that Dolores hung out with Caroline. I told you guys there was a whole story. It was Dolores and Caroline and Kathy Keeley hanging out. She used the eating disorder storyline as much as she could, honestly. Yeah, I know. It's very sad. It is. And she is a mother, and I think, of course, Evan doesn't feel great about himself. Allegedly, the woman was a trainer. That's how Frank knew her, because he's in the fitness business, and they live in this like this really small area that is in like the top 5 richest places in the United States. and there's only like 10 gyms there, and allegedly she was like this personal trainer at one of the gyms, and she has a family and she has a husband, and the plan was to like leave their spouses, and she was making arrangements and come and clean, and Evan wasn't able to do the same. There are rumors. Yeah, I just don't know what's gonna happen with Jackie. She's gonna come back. Bravo's giving her another chance, which is really great. Frank did a podcast. He said that he had dinner with Jackie and Evan, and that she explained that she was gonna be, part-time. And I think, again, it depends on, sorry guys, it depends on Evan's performance, because they're kind of keeping Jackie. Yeah, she left her husband. Well, she was going to leave him. She let him know she was going to leave him. Joe's annoying to me. Not sure why people like him so much. Ladies drama. Someone posted a picture of, that was me. I posted the picture of them at the book signing. Yes, with Jackie's holding 2 little toddler boys. And this is why Teresa was always referencing that Jackie was a stalker, and that Jackie, was stalking her. And it was because of this book signing that Teresa did. And Jackie showed up and she took a photo, and she had 2 toddler boys with her. And when I saw the photo, yeah, Camille, it's on my page, I promise. It did take a lot for her to bare her soul. Absolutely, it did. And she was very vulnerable, and that's respect. I respect her for that. Absolutely. And I think she does have, is coming from a place where she wants to help people. But I think she has to help herself before she can help other people. It's kind of like an addict. Like when an addict or an alcoholic is getting clean and getting sober, they kind of have to concentrate on their own sobriety and their own path, and get some clean time before they can go out and start really helping other people. So she needs to kind of work her own plan and her own path and heal a little bit. And then that way, and in sharing her path, I'm sure that will help people. But at the same time, she needs to kind of take care of herself first. And if that means like not filming, was Dola's boyfriend there? I'm not sure, actually. I didn't see him in the footage. Allegedly, he's like got some connections. He's like into these Rolls Royce vehicle business, allegedly. I don't know, guys. I had heard that Dolores was going to get demoted. I'm not surprised. Again, I thought they were keeping her because of Frank. And, Frank got disbarred. And the picture I saw didn't feature Dolores man Paula. Yeah, me either. Dolores, I think, was scared that she was going to get demoted. And Frank was kind of keeping her full time because, again, Bravo's trying to kind of capitalize off these men and kind of feel out how they can make some money. Jackie should leave reality TV for sharing. Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. And it was a different situation because none of the other women knew what she was going through. I mean, she shared a little bit with Marge, but that was it. And so it made it like the other women couldn't even really support her, and we couldn't really see her be so super vulnerable or like lean on these women or bond with them because none of them even really knew what was going on. And it was strange that Bravo kind of played it that way. Frank was a witness for Joe taking the mortgage. Yes, reality. I reported that. People's eating me up, but you're 100% right. Allegedly, Joe Gorga's dad sold his house to him for $1, and Frank Catania was signed as the realist, the witness. And really, technically, there should have been a notary. But Frank was into real estate, so it's possible he was a notary. But yes, that is definitely it. Those are in the documents. You can look that up. I have a copy of those, and now that I know how to post just like plain like photos and documents on YouTube, I didn't know I could post stuff. That's why I've been going nuts and posting so much. I posted that photo of Jackie and Teresa because I have all this content from Instagram. I'm always posting receipts on there, but I have a lot of people that aren't on Instagram, and that's totally fine. So I'm glad that I can now post it on here. So make sure that you guys check it out because I have a lot of content and different stuff. So Joe going off juicy regarding his dad is a projection. Yes, that's why there's so much grief there. there were some other people that went back and started watching from the very beginning, and they came back and commented about how when Juicy Joe was building the loft above the garage, the parents were going to move in there, and there's like a conversation that takes place, and of course Joe the son is upset. Why do you think Teresa hasn't talked, and that's simply her absolute love? Out of respect for her family, I think that it was probably kept very, very quiet. I'm sure that her dad would have been very, like, he's too proud. He didn't want people to know that that happened. Do you guys remember when Teresa's dad and Kathy's mom, I think they were brother and sister, and they got into a fight about $200? Now, these are old school Italians that came over on the boat. You know, what's really $200 to them? Joe and Teresa's dad didn't owe $1 on anything. No homes, no cars, no nothing, until all of this transpires with his son and the collateral in the house. But yeah, they got into a fight about $200, and we kind of see a little bit of that at the reunion. Kathy and Teresa are going at each other about it, but they didn't speak for like 6 to 8 months, I think, because of this alleged $200. And the $200 wasn't even between them two. I think it was like between Teresa's dad and, I don't know, somebody in Kathy's family or something like that, said they owed one another, and they got into this argument about the $200. So Teresa's dad was way too proud. They never ever would have wanted people to know that. And I think that Teresa, you know, she said Juicy made her, you know, sign a prenup before they got married, and she told her mom, because she didn't want to get married, her mom told her she had to get married anyway, and she said she didn't tell her dad, she didn't tell her brother, because she was like embarrassed. But she said, looking back, maybe if I would have told my brother and told my dad what he wanted me to do, maybe they would have, you know, said like, you don't have to marry him. But she was like so you know, traditional, like that's how she lived, that she didn't want to, they didn't want to embarrass their names. Like, they were very, very proud people. They were hard workers. They worked hard, and they would have never have wanted Teresa to bring that to reality TV. And I think that I don't think that Dolores and Teresa are friends anymore. Teresa was on a podcast like a couple of weeks ago, and they asked about Dolores and the whole engagement party, and she, you know, basically said that she had asked Dolores to hang out and, you know, double date, but David didn't double date. But now that she's with Pauline, he does double date. They have since made plans. Basically, you know, she said that the engagement party was very small and it was intimate, and if Dolores had brought a date, it would have been David, and they had never even met David. So they just didn't want a lot of people that they hadn't met at the party, which makes sense, but also because Dina was there, allegedly, that's why they didn't want Dolores there. She signed a prenup, but it didn't come into effect when they divorced because they agreed. Both Dolores and Melissa have no storyline. I agree with Vanessa. Any of Louis' exes? Yeah. Oh, I know. And I'm seeing stuff now come back like off Louis from like 2012, like domestic situations with him and his ex-wife that involved his kids, which I kind of feel like is a little bit of, it's kind of bullcrap. Like 10 years ago, when you're getting a divorce and you have little kids that are involved, you know, you fight aggressively when it's about your children. So you're just more passionate. And so I feel like it is kind of shitty of like the bloggers to be bringing up stuff from like 2012 that were like situations, because he does have an autistic son. So I'm sure that it was difficult, like arranging, you know, a divorce with 2 children, and one of them being autistic, and figuring out living and working in school situations. It probably was a really high stress environment. Not defending him, just saying that it would have been really a high stress environment, I'm sure. So I don't know if it's really fair to go back and, you know, someone 10 or 12 years in a high stress domestic divorce situation and, you know, talk too much shit. But I don't know. I've never been divorced, but I'm sure that it's not easy when you have kids. And his ex, Vanessa, she allegedly is moving back to the shore. that was posted on her Instagram. So that makes me a little bit curious, because we know that New Jersey films at the shore every year pretty much. I mean, we've seen them film in the wintertime, but like the last couple of years, they've really played the narrative of like the Jersey Shore and Camille the historian. So biological sister, they married to brothers. Dina and Caroline are biological sisters married to biological brothers. Chris, which was Jacqueline's husband, was a brother to Dina and Caroline. Dina and Caroline and Chris's mom, she had like 8 or 9 kids. So there was a really big age difference between Caroline and Dina. That's how Dina and Tommy ended up kind of rekindling, because Dina had her daughter, and she broke up with the daughter's dad, and she ended up moving in with Caroline. She was a single mom. She was actually broke. She got with Tommy, and, you know, they ended up getting married, living in Franklin Lakes. She was driving a Land Rover, and Dina kind of associates that as to what was a downfall to her and Caroline's relationship, because she said she felt like Caroline got jealous. You know, when she first came there and was living in Caroline's house, she was at her mercy, and she, you know, she was Caroline was the boss, and you kind of see that a little bit. So the mob ties are with Caroline and Dina's husbands. Yes, they are the family, the Manzos, that are affiliated with the family, the big crime family that starts with a L. I don't even want to say their name. I'm scared. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, they are the ones that are affiliated with the mob. Their father was the one that was killed by the mob, allegedly, and cut up and put in the trunk of his Cadillac. Yes, they are definitely mob affiliated. But Caroline always said that wasn't true. But do you guys remember when they beat up that guy that their dad was found in the trunk of a car? Yep, he was. And what is Dina's ex motives to harass her? He's just obsessed. They got married. If you watched, they were on My Big Fat Wedding on VH1, because that's like around the time My Big Fat Wedding, My Big Fat Greek Wedding came out. It was like a drama, funny show. And so VH1 did this reality version of My Big Fat Wedding, and Dina and Tommy made it. They auditioned, and so VH1 comes and films them. It's like been scrubbed from the internet. Whose dad at Teresa? I missed that. It would have been Tommy and Al's dad. So it would have been Caroline and Dina's father-in-law. His street name, his mob name was Tiny, but he weighed like 400 pounds. The Manzos and Lulu Cheese are two of them. Yes, Reality Diamond is 100% right on that. That family is the family that they're associated with. And Dina and Tommy, they are like dating, and they're getting married, and they're getting filmed, but basically he's making her look like an asshole. Like, he's so mean to her. He has no time to plan the wedding. She cries like 3 or 4 times. He admits to cheating on her, and he says Bravo must have known that, right? Oh yeah, I'm sure that Bravo did, but they were kind of running that narrative that like the old school Italians from New Jersey and New York, and I think he was called Tiny because he was the complete opposite. Reality Diamond, you're 100% right. Yes, he weighed like 400 pounds. Exactly right. It took hours, they said. It took hours and hours for the police to extract him out of the trunk after he was murdered, because he weighed a lot. He was a very, very, very big man. And yeah, Bravo they vet these people. They know this, but they were kind of selling that narrative. Remember, Teresa had all that cash. She went to that furniture store with like $100,000 in cash and bought all that furniture, and they were Gambino. Don't forget about Victoria Gotti. Remember when Teresa goes and hangs out with Victoria Gotti? That's on the show. They go and hang out, and that's like when Amber and the twins were on the show, and one of the twins had that boyfriend that slept with her mom. I remember Teresa at the furniture store. Yeah, see, Bravo was like running that narrative, because they were like wearing their fur coats, and they were making homemade wine, and they were old school Italian, and they did this and they did that, and they didn't allude to the mob, but they gave a very like mob wives vibe, kind of like what VH1 was giving us, but a little bit more upscale, if you will. Caroline would always say, we're thick as thieves. Yes, she did. What did you say about the crime families? So there's the five biggest crime families out of New York City and New Jersey that are responsible for actually creating the mafia. One of those families is the Lucchese, and that is who the Manzos are affiliates with. The guy that Tommy Manzo paid to actually be there to physically do the home invasion, he is also affiliated with that same crime family. So it's kind of a big deal. I mean, in that area, the demographic, like it's okay to know people that are connected. It's not an uncommon thing to have even family that's connected, because it's an area that's like was in their blood. So it would make sense that they all have cousins, brothers, family. They know people that are connected, and it's just a normal thing. It's not a big deal anymore. Like I said, Teresa went and had dinner with Victoria Gotti, and they filmed it, and they put it on the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and everyone knows, you know, the situation with that. So they were proud to put Teresa on TV with Victoria Gotti, and they were okay with it. They didn't see any problem with it. Just like they're putting Erica on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and she's calling orphans and widows liars, and basically trying to say that there's no proof they didn't get paid, which would basically allege that they're all getting together, lying, and suing her and Tom, which doesn't even make any sense. I like to dig and read about them. Yeah, you should definitely. And the Hiltons, guys, I'm telling you, you guys got to do your digging. I told you my video should be uploaded, but I did a little piece on Kathy, Kim, and Kyle's mom, and how she's like the stage mom from hell, and she was an alcoholic, and she was always wanting men to pick up her tabs everywhere she went. So there was like this whole background of their mom in the 70s and Hollywood and the men and trying to make their girls big stars. Started off as a it was off as a mafia show. Teresa is exactly correct. It did start off that way. Mob Wives was big on VH1. Don't forget Big Ange. I forget the other woman's name. I can't remember. She was a little woman. Her and her husband got their homes rated a couple of I don't think her name was, I can't remember what her name was, but oh my gosh, yeah, it was definitely a stem off from that, but they were trying to be a little bit more classier, because they did have the Real Housewives of Orange County that was growing. We had, you know, Tamara, the hottest housewife and of Real Housewives of Orange County. In Orange County, she was the hottest, and Vicky and Gretchen, who was, you know, we all know about the Real Housewives of OC. Do you guys remember JoJo from the Real Housewives of Orange County? Remember, she dated Slade. I think she only did one season. Slade pretended to be rich. He had like 2 sons, but he drove a big Hummer, and he thought he was like, you know, so rich and taking care of Joe, and he was like paying for her to have these photo shoots and get these singing lessons and all this just craziness. Well, she's finally settling down and getting married. She's documenting it on her TikTok. I can post her name. My hubby was Big Ange Mailman. Nuh-uh, are you serious? Oh, God bless her. I feel like she was a good person. Like, she had a good heart. And even though she was a little rough around the edges, like, she was one of those people that if you went to prison, like, she would write you and send you a Christmas card and put money on your books and put money on the phone and, like, you know, hold you down, even if you were just like a friend or a friend of the family. Like, she was just raised old school. She was raised the right way. Her DJ Vinny did my daughter's Sweet 16. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Oh, God bless her. She was a good lady. Yeah, I really enjoyed the first few seasons of I know, it did feel like a documentary. You know what? It did. I enjoyed them too. It was kind of crazy looking back now. If you go back and watch the first couple of seasons, I loved, oh my gosh, I cannot think of her name. The blonde, she was like a single mom. She had the 2 kids. The daughter's name is Ashley. I just posted about her on my Instagram because she wanted to be on the Real Housewives of Orange County and kind of follow in her mom's, Laurie Peterson. Do you guys remember her? She was like the really pretty blonde. She had the 2 kids. She worked for Vicky. Her son sadly got on heroin, but the daughter Ashley is like really beautiful, and she was actually on Watch What Happens Live. Ronald Richards is a big Reality Diamond fan. That's how I found you. I didn't know that. That is so cool. I love the old school documentary side too. Remember, the baseball player's wife, she was like the Playboy type, and they had the 2 kids, Kara and the baseball player. They actually had 3. It was 2 boys and Kara. I liked Kara. I thought she was like a really sweet girl, but the mom was a realtor. And then do you guys remember the other daughters? One of them was just arrested in Kentucky and had meth on her. Remember it was like the mom and the dad, and they lived in the nicest house in Orange County. It wasn't Gina. And the dad like was in charge. He started this company for like this energy positive drink, and then he ended up dying of a heart attack. His name was Lou. Do you guys remember Lou? And they had the 2 daughters, and I cannot remember the ex-wife's name, but they all were like the angels, all the young girls in the OC. Who rented the house? Whose house? Teresa. Who rented the house? The old OC is like classic. It's my favorite. I love it. Laurie, like I said, she was like single, working for Vicky, who is this crazy insurance. He speaks highly of you at Reality Diamond. I agree with his. That is so nice. Reality Diamond. Ronald Richards doesn't speak nicely about anyone, so you should appreciate that. I've seen him on Sherelle's World, and he kept calling her Cheryl, but every time he was on her show on Sherelle's World, he called her Cheryl. Always had me dying. But he was also, did you guys know that he was in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills when the husband killed himself? We're about to see the wife on the Real Housewives of Ultimate Girls trip. Armstrong. He was the husband's attorney, the one that killed himself, Russell. So Ronald Richards was Russell's attorney. And after he hung himself, Ronald did a small interview with TMZ, and he actually stuck up for Russell. And he said, look, the man was under severe financial stress. Like, he's been trying to keep his wife, Taylor, he's been keeping up with the Joneses and trying to keep her in the life of luxury to keep up with his reality show, and he couldn't do it, and he ended up killing himself. And his partners wanted Taylor, they wanted bags back, they wanted her diamond ring back, and then, do you guys remember, she was like kind of messed up for a while, and she was like leaving her kid with Kyle Richards, because Kyle's daughter Portia was like the same age as Taylor's daughter. And she like called all messed up, and they had her on speakerphone, and they were filming it, and she like didn't even know where her daughter was at. Well, she ended up meeting some guy and moving to Colorado, but we're about to see her on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls trip with Dorinda in New York. So I don't know. She looks good. I saw her interview look. People were kind of, clowning on it a little bit and said they thought it sounded like she was like shopping at like Dillard's or something, but I thought she looked nice. Taylor was always a pretty girl. She was just trying to be like, she needed Lisa to like want to be her friend, and it just wasn't working. So I think that she just kind of fell short that way, and she was in a rough spot with Russell, and then Camille completely outed the whole situation on the show, and she had to tell Russell that, and I think that put a lot of stress on them. And then do you guys remember when they showed up to Kyle and Mauricio's white party, and they turned them away and made Russell and Taylor leave? She was, embarrassed, I'm sure. Hi, Freddie. I love Freddie. He knows he's one of the very few panelists, I would say, that is around these sites that like knows his stuff. Freddie knows what he's talking about. He has a long, he remembers things like an elephant. They say elephants have good memories. Freddie's one of those people who has really, really, really good memories. And he doesn't miss a beat, and I appreciate it. He knows it offhand. Seriously. But I want to start talking about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and everything we know about the mother. We have to talk about the Hiltons and have you guys read The House of Hiltons? Have you guys ever heard of this book that was basically written as an autobiography about Paris, but they kind of go back and start with like the original Hilton that kind of trails down the line and tells all these terrible stories of what Kathy Hilton was like when she was raising the kids. And I was a moderate for Sherelle's World for over a year. Were you, Angela? I used to watch Sherelle's World all the time. I must know you then. Or maybe I didn't watch it then, but I watched it for a very, very long time. Even before she had Perry on there. Right when I started watching was right whenever she had, who was it? She used to have Gabor on there. I liked him. He has his own show now too. But I don't really have a chance to check it out that much. But she had Prince Andrew, and I think she had Adam on there, and then they had a falling out or whatever. But that's how long I've been watching it. It was before Perry, and then I think Perry came in. Kyle Richards' husband is next to be charged by the feds. Possibly. If you guys look at their net wealth, then you would see that it's like doubled, tripled every single year. It'd be like almost impossible. I mean, when Kyle first came on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she talks about shopping at Target. I mean, she's like making fun of the women who are like having name brand stuff and Camille Grammer. And she's talking about how she shops at Target, and she had 4 kids. They lived in Beverly Hills. They had like a nice, I mean, a very, very expensive, nice home, but like they didn't have the money that they have now. And he's had problems at the agency. There was a book written, Freddie probably knows the name of the book, but it was written by a prostitute, like in the Hollywood, LA area. Thank you, Reality Diamond. I appreciate you guys. All of the housewives live beyond their means. I know. They do. They do. And then they try to blame it on the show. Teresa and Joe put it in their paperwork when they were in court trying to say that their lifestyle was exaggerated for the show. And then also, we see Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Jen Shaw is trying to say the same exact thing. So I think that the court really doesn't buy that. They don't seem to buy it. I'm worried for Jen Shaw. Ronald Richards makes really great points. Oh gosh, Diana. I haven't talked much about Diana because I was kind of waiting for things to come up. Dana did say it was expensive being on the show, and I believe her because, and you know who else said that? Kelly Dodd said that too. She said that, and her and Rick did a review, and she was saying that it's expensive to be on the show. They don't really give you guys give them a budget. They have to buy all of their own clothes, and I need to join Dana's Patreon to hear. I know, I do too. I just never, is Salt Lake still me? Yeah, they've been, well, I think they already wrapped up filming. I know there was like some drama between Jen Shaw and the girl that she brought on the show. They started out as friends, and then they're not ending the season as friends. But Ronald Richards was talking about Jen is like ready to start her court date. Jen Shaw was stupid trying to tell the judge she wants a new judge. I know, I feel bad for Jen because, Ronald Richards said that these prosecutors on this case, they have endless amounts of resources 24 hours a day, working, scrutinizing, putting together a case because they, come to win. And unfortunately, Jen doesn't have that sort of resources in her attorney. He's like a, small office guy, and that doesn't mean that he's not a genius, super smart, can't win cases, that she can't be found innocent. It just means that, unfortunately, he has more resources. Dana makes me sad. What do you think, Freddie? I'm scared of the backstory because do you guys, if you have you guys read the Crazy Days and Nights, the website that puts out the blinds, the guy that does all the blinds, not all the blinds, but he does the most credible blinds. He's been doing them for a long time. Nobody knows who he is. He did a blind on Diana Jenkins a long time ago, and it caused a huge uproar because people wanted to know who he was and how he knew the information, because he basically you know, accused her of allegedly a lot of serious dark shit. Okay. The guy's had the Crazy Days and Nights blind for like years and years. Like, he's like well known. Yes, I thought the guy from Crazy Days and Nights sold the site. I don't know. I thought it was just him working by himself. Originally it was like 3 of them, and then he was doing it just as an outlet. Some very suspect stuff over her and her associates. Yeah, it is. And it's like, they had to vet her. It doesn't make I don't understand. One, if you're friends with Kim Kardashian, you're traveling with her, you're hanging out with her, and you want to be on a reality show, why didn't you just go on her reality show? Larsa was, every other one of Kim's great friends was on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So why did we never see Diana? Also Diana's house, they filmed in Diana's house like right after COVID. The Kardashians used Diana's house to film in. And the messed up thing about this is Daily Mail did a whole whole thing on a spread about, that means Elton John is creepy too. I know it does. I know. But we hear this all the time, that, you know, the elite, we really don't know the sort of things that are going on. And, you know, she like allegedly, I don't know what I would, it's all creepy. Yeah. There's even a Twitter account that posted photos, like old photos of her and this girl, this younger girl that's mentioned in the blind items, that allegedly Diana has, I don't even want to say the word groomed, but that's basically what, you know, the accusation was. How did she make her money? Well, that is a great question. How did she make her money? We really don't know. Allegedly, her book was a list of, like, she's a madam, basically, that it was a list of contacts. I don't know. I've heard a lot of stuff. She has a lot of connections to Bosnia, the president of Bosnia. She's put up a lot of money over there. She is very much international. Reality Diamond said she got $150 million for divorcing her first husband. Keepsake of how she made her money. Yeah, there's some really, really dark shit about her. And that's why I don't really get into it, because there's so much of it and it's so dark that I mean, it's gonna have to come out. I can't think that Bravo doesn't think that this is gonna come out and doesn't realize like how sick or deep or terrible this could make a network look. Because if you have Kathy Hilton over here being accused of saying racist stuff, people are pissed. They feel like she should be fired immediately, and then often they grow up to do the same. Yeah, you're exactly right. Like, they are a victim, and then they eventually start to victimize other people. That's 100% right. So I mean, she has a lot younger husband than her, which I don't see anything wrong with that. Of course not. But Diana got half her husband's wealth in the divorce because Diana getting connections with Arab royalty, Arabic royalty, Diana Erica without empathy. Yeah, I think that, that's what makes me feel a little sketchy about Erica, because Erica would have to know these rumors. I'm sure that all of the women know the rumors surrounding Diana. I'm sure that even Dana Wilkie knows the rumors, and she probably just don't want to say them. Like, nobody wants to say that about somebody. One, in case it's not true, and two, because the lady is obviously powerful as hell. Like, her, like you guys are saying, Reality was saying, Diamond was saying, like, her connections are endless. Erica asking Dana another Cartier ring. I feel like Erica was like almost like looking at her, like giving her like the look like, I'm down with whatever you're down with. Please contact me after this. Absolutely, for sure. Do you have an Instagram that I can write down real quick so I don't forget it? Is it your name? That's the only thing about YouTube that sucks. Like, you can't message on it. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's some dark shit about her, especially with kids. Her ex-husband's a big time banker. Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's how she got a lot of her money. But I think that where the connection that people are like losing is that she has Angela, I didn't get the number. But she has all of these, she has like a younger girl that's like with her a lot. That you're basically think Ghislaine Maxwell. You know what I'm saying? Like that, but maybe not as openly or as proudly, because, you know, Ghislaine and Jeffrey were getting away with murder and they knew it, so they flaunted it, but that's kind of the feeling that we're getting from her. Angel eyes, there we go, angel eyes, got it. 7667, perfect. That's kind of what we get from her, and she has these connections, yes, Madam vibes, but also that because she has these connections in Bosnia, and there are these countries in the surrounding areas that these kids are being, you know, moved and trafficked from country to country, outside of Bosnia and into other countries. Her brother was murdered. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that. She seems like she's giving us, like, if you had that much money, she allegedly has some sort of drink that has made her a lot of money too. But she had this house in Malibu, and the neighbor beside her had bushes that were kind of blocking the view. And allegedly, she just started to she had them cut down, and she got into an altercation with like the neighbor's security or their like lawn care people, and supposedly she had a Karen moment, if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. There was an actress that charged for grooming girls. Yeah, that is definitely what the inkling is with her. So that's why I don't really touch on it. I'm kind of waiting for all of the other bloggers to pick up on it, because I know they'll take off. But it's like I said, that's like some really dark things, and I'm surprised Bravo doesn't mind possibly being affiliated, which kind of makes you nervous. Like, do birds of a feather flock together with these networks? Or like, why does she even want to be on this show if you have all this money? And, you know, Dana Wilkie even said that. She said she has no idea why she would want to be on this show. Like, what? Why would you want to be on the show? You have all this money and you're possibly doing things that aren't, you know, upstanding. Why would you want to risk it? So I don't know, fame. Again, she's friends with Kim Kardashian. She could have been on the show. Diana had to pay out for the lawsuit, and the neighbor co-founder who ended up buying the house for $87 million. She's a narcissist. But she also, like, the gentleman was African American, and they said, like, she had a Karen moment, like she called the police on him. And here she was in fault because she was cutting down the neighbor's bushes so that she could sell the house for more. What does she want to be on the show? Hidden in plain sight theory? Maybe she just likes the attention. Maybe she was friends with Kim Kardashian, and, you know, you see it with Chris and Kathy. You know, Kathy kind of stayed, she was like a socialite in LA, but she was never on TV. You know, Paris did the whole reality TV, but then Chris and Kim made this whole, you know, Kardashian franchise, and Kathy was like, that doesn't look so bad, because look at how the Hiltons are trying to, they did Paris in Love, they put Kathy on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Paris did a documentary. Like, I kind of got the feeling that they were starting to build their own type of franchise empire, if you will, the same as the Kardashians did. Like, Kim used to take pointers from Paris, and now Paris is about to take pointers from Kim and Chris for basically taking over the reality TV world. And that's kind of what I was getting from the whole Kathy and Paris in Love. And we all know that Kathy's time is over. And yeah, it's over. It's for sure over. But the question's going to be, is it going to be over for Kyle? Is she going to stick with Kathy? Because Kathy is absolutely not going to want Kyle to do the Housewives if, you know, everything goes crazy and she feels like she's been done dirty by the network, or she doesn't like the edit, or whatever the case is. She's going to expect Kyle to stick by her side, and if Kyle doesn't, she's going to be really pissed, and they're not going to be speaking. And what better from than a charity or a children's organization? Yes, absolutely. Did you guys, okay, listen, you got to do this. Go onto her Instagram account. She just posted this. It is a Bosnian, I think, president maybe, and he's thanking her. And within like the first 30 seconds, he brings up all the work that she's doing for the children, and other people caught it too. It wasn't just me, and they started commenting like, for the children, like, why are these organizations always like for the children? And these, you know, I don't know. It's just terrible. It's just terrible. And hopefully she, you know, gets ran off and she can just leave peacefully and we don't have to, you know, get into it, because I don't think that Bravo, I don't know if they could recover from something, you know, like that. But I mean, look at Tom and Erica. They stole from all these victims and orphans and widows, and they're, you know, they haven't even seen criminal charges. So maybe not. You never know. I mean, I think that Erica could potentially see criminal charges after Tom dies. I don't even think that she's considering that, but I think if the statute of limitations isn't up, I think that they would definitely prosecute Erica, because they would love to prosecute somebody, but they don't want to prosecute Tom because he's older than dirt. He has files and he knows everything about everyone, and they just want to let that man die in peace and never, ever talking about it again. They don't want to talk about anywhere that his money was donated that they might have to question, or, you know, judges and prosecutors and senators and congressmen and all these people that he's supported with stolen money. They can't really expose all of that, but they surely would probably like to get at Erica. I mean, she has those $90,000 earrings. You know, allegedly they asked her to give them back and she said she would have no problem, but when it came down to giving them back, she didn't want to. So she was contesting it. What did you guys think about her with this glam squad and like Mikey? And what about her like wearing the clothes twice? Like, she sounded, it didn't sound good. It like left a bad taste in your mouth, you know, like you owe all these people money and you're just, you know, having your glam team over here taking care of your closet, picking you out clothes, telling us about how you get these clothes for free, but then you sell them, which is complete bullshit. It's exactly what the Kardashians do. I work for missing children police investigation. Angel Eyes, so funny that you say that. Listen, I'm so glad that you say that, because I follow this account on Instagram. It's Missing Child NJ, and this lady is the sweetest person. And she advocates for children and this specific missing child in New Jersey. So I told her, I started advocating and sharing all of the information. I told her I was going to put it on my YouTube channel and make sure that I was directing people to the flyer, you know, every so often. Well, Frank from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, he has a heart. I'm going to tell you guys a really sweet story. This just happened. And he ran across somehow him and her never met, don't know each other. You know, she follows him because she follows the Real Housewives in New Jersey. Somehow their comments came together, and they basically, he said that he would help advocate and, you know, spread the word about this missing child, which I thought was so sweet. And he ended up sharing it on his Instagram, you know, encouraging everyone to look at the flyer. I know, Camille, is that not the sweetest thing ever? Not gonna lie, I think Erica knows everything. Erica was definitely keeping up with the facade. She's not an idiot. I'm gonna tell you guys exactly why. Do you guys remember the reunion when I think the pandemic had just hit because they were virtual, and that was the one with Denise, and Erica had like that short blonde, real tight haircut. And whenever before they started filming, Andy Cohen was like, hey, Erica, where's, you know, Tom? How, you know, and she's like, well, he's at work. And when you have your name on the door, you have to make sure that you're at work. And I just felt like she was kind of like making a jab at him. Like they were saying something without saying something, because Tom had to keep working. And that's what actually, in the end, Tom's detriment wasn't Tom. It was COVID, because they shut the courts down. So, you know, stealing from one account to pay for another, but when the court system shuts down and you don't have anything coming in to rotate out that money, that's what happened, is COVID hit and he didn't have clients and they didn't have court, and his money flow got messed up, and within a couple of months that, you know, was his detriment. And then, you know, obviously it all unraveled. The first time I ever saw you, it was so funny because I knew. Oh, thank you so much, Angel Eyes. I'm so glad we got to talk. Yes, Frank is amazing. I thought that was so sweet of him to advocate for this little girl. And like I said, the person that runs the account, such a nice person, and she, you know, didn't even know the victim. It's just the little girl. It was her and her brother. He was autistic. They were playing at the playground and the mom was nearby. The little boy came back without his sister, and it's been a couple of years, and you can see her flyer on my YouTube. I posted it. She's out of New Jersey. All of the tips go directly to the FBI and police law enforcement, and then also they've arranged it where there will be 0 immigration issues if you were to call and report something and you're scared of immigration. You don't have to worry. They've like made a clearance for this case specifically that you would not be, you know, subject to any sort of issues with that. So yes, absolutely, protect the children. Check out that flyer. I'll repost it actually for you guys so you can take a quick look at it. But I just wanted to hop on, talk housewives. My earlier live video got cut short, so I know it's a sloppy cut. I posted it anyways because it had a little bit of tea in it that I thought you guys might enjoy. So hopefully my live streams get better. I have an app. I have it all together now. So, but I hope you guys have a great night. Donna, I don't understand how these people go on the show and think they, I know. Listen, so funny to say that. Did you guys watch the documentary? Because someone that worked at Girardi and Keys was saying that Tom Girardi always told his clients, if you're doing anything illegal, don't go on reality TV. It's the worst thing that you can do. Can we end up on a lighter note? Absolutely, Camille. Bingo, COVID hit. Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. What can we talk about, guys? Well, we can talk about that, Lynn, her name. The flyer is definitely posted. I cannot remember. It's her little, it's like Louis, I want to say. But all the information is on the flyer posted. But yes, so let's end on a lighter note, guys. Real Housewives in New Jersey's filming. So I'm excited to see if we're going to see Teresa's wedding or not. We saw and met Teresa's sister-in-law because Jennifer and Dina and her went on this trip. Glad YouTube suggested your channel. Thank you, Teresa. I'm so glad to meet you guys. All of you are so amazing. I appreciate all of you. At first, people were always like, oh, you are like pro Teresa, you're pro Melissa. And I was like, listen, it doesn't matter who you're pro. Like, let's chat, let's conversate. It doesn't matter who, if we have different favorites. Like, we're all Housewives fans. So some people get so radical, they think they can only, you know, associate with the same people that have the same likes, and that's not my channel. So of course you're going to see her wedding. She wouldn't mess. I mean, maybe she's waiting on the right price. Why do I want to see Danielle stop? Did you guys see the TikTok I posted of her going, her and that man got into a fight about the parking spot? Do you actually know Andy? I wish he was my best friend. We're best friends. He just doesn't know it yet. That's all. He just doesn't know it yet. But he will one day. Thank you so much. I will hit you up on Instagram. I mean, mine's HW Historian, so you can, you know, find me. I'm always putting, she's so nutty. I'm always putting different, you know, tea and stuff on my stories, so you should go check it out. But I'm trying to make sure that I get all of that, you know, to everyone on the YouTube channel too. So I'm gonna hop on tomorrow. You guys should let me know what times of day. Me too, Camille. You gotta be like, you gotta laugh a little in life. But I would love to know, like, what times of day you guys prefer, like, you know, during days or times that you would like to do live chats. I would love to know because I know everyone's schedule is a little different. So go ahead and comment any questions you have, and I'm gonna hop on tomorrow, guys. I hope you have a great night. Thanks, Camille, for the super chat. Seriously, it was so nice of you. I hope you guys all have a great happy Memorial Day too, but I'll hop on before then. Good night, guys.